So to begin, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Roshanak Mehdipanah. She is an associate professor in health behavior and health equity at the University of Michigan School of Public Health. Her research focuses on urban health, including urban renewal, gentrification, and their impacts on health equities. She is particularly interested in examining the health impacts of housing policies. Her research has been funded by NIH, CDC, and the WHO, and other foundations. Dr. Mehdipanah is a co-lead of the Public Health Ideas for Creating Healthy and Equitable Cities, and the Director of Housing Solutions for Health Equity Initiative and co-director of Prevention Research Collaborative. So, welcome. And
Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. I want to thank the organization for inviting me to be here today. The title of my talk is Reclaiming Vacant Spaces. I was really happy that yesterday there was a lot of talk about greening and vacant spaces because vacant spaces are a public health issue, and today I'm going to focus on illegal dumping. As you know, legacy cities have faced this long-term population loss and economic decline. So we see cities across from Detroit to Flint to Gary, Indiana, where populations have been decreasing over a long period of time, primarily due to industrial loss and suburbanization, which has led to widespread housing abandonment. And as a result, too, of most recently in the 2010s and on the post-recession, we've seen an increase of the wave of mortgage foreclosures, leading to then tax foreclosures, and just general disinvestment, and this leading to property vacancies. So research has indicated that vacant properties contribute to physical disorder. They contribute to reduction in property values around and within those cities, and they strain city resources. They cost a lot of money to remediate and clean up and stay on top of. And we also know through research that addressing vacant cities requires this equitable redevelopment. It requires thoughtful and intentional land use strategies. And to do all of this, it really requires community engagement. As a result, many of these cities have established land banks, which are meant to help stabilize neighborhoods. They're meant to manage tax foreclosures, vacancies, and abandoned properties in their cities. And their idea is to repurpose the land to bring them back into inventory. And when they can't do that, they repurpose the land for community benefit and further development, or future development, sorry. So I'm going to talk about Flint, Michigan. It is a legacy city. Primarily was driven by the car manufacturers. Since then, the population has decreased. And as a result of, we talked about redlining and other factors, Flint is a majority African-American city with average income of about $30,000, just under $30,000. And 1 in 3 properties in Flint are vacant. So this vacancy could either be that there is an empty house on it or completely vacant and demolished and the property is there. The parcel is empty, sorry. So this long-term vacancy in Flint has contributed to blight and crime reduction, and reduced property values over time. In 2020, the Genesee County Land Bank counted how much illegal dumping had occurred on these sites, and they removed about 725 tons. Now, this was in 2020 when the pandemic had occurred, so we expect this number to have been much higher on any other given year. And as you know, as you can see from a resident response, that when you see a major ugly dump site, you don't want to look at it you don't want to look out your window. And that's what residents of Flint are consistently dealing with. So as a result of that, we're working already with the Genesee County Land Bank. And we got to convince CDC to invest in us through their community violence prevention program, which no longer exists, by investing in this first-time intervention where we would intervene on illegal dumping. And we work closely with Clean and Green. These are community organizations that are dedicated to cleaning vacant land sites, and the Center for Community Progress, which brings together all the land banks across the US together. So here's my very complex framework, but sometimes easier is more clear. Where we set out to study whether dumping interventions reduce community violence, either directly or by reducing physical disorder, and to also study that whether resident engagement had an influence on this. And the reason part of the framework is very simple is that there isn't a lot of research out there. In fact, Philadelphia and Flint are one of the only cities that have kind of documented some of this work. So we set out with this grand idea of doing a randomized control trial to test the effects of the illegal dumping prevention intervention with and without residential engagement on violence and firearm crime. Over time, our randomized has kind of reduced, and we've had to look at more creative ways of looking, primarily because of a lot of changes that have occurred in the city. But still, as part of it, we're doing a longitudinal. We want to study the longitudinal effects. We also want to conduct an analysis to measure whether these interventions have not just reduced illegal dumping and displaced them elsewhere, but whether they have reduced illegal dumping in general. And then we wanted to conduct a cost-effectiveness analysis, because as we know, politicians love numbers. So here's our community dumping prevention intervention. It consists of multiple aspects where the sites are cleaned up, and this is all done through the Genesee County Land Bank. Then we install these boulders around the areas to prevent cars, to prevent cars and such moving into the site. We have trail camera installation and a solar motion detection lights and signage as part of these interventions. So these are the 4 arms of our study, which includes community engaged, which includes the involvement of Clean and Green maintained sites. We have an intervention group of 20 to 25 sites per year, and then one that has no intervention, but still maintained by the Clean and Green group. And then we have a non-community engaged group, which is just land bank, goes in and mows the sites. And this is divided into whether they had received the intervention or not. And I'm happy to describe details later. So essentially, we're collecting data using maintenance and mowing logs. And yes, it could be a data source. As we talked yesterday about being innovative, about data sources. We also do a property maintenance observation tool, so we send out trained individuals to go out and do an inventory of these sites. We do displacement assessments up to 300 meters around the area to ensure that the illegal dumping isn't just being moved elsewhere. And then we use the Genesee County Land Bank's dumping records. And for our community violence, we're using the Michigan State Police and crime incident data. So findings so far. Because we have smaller samples over the years, and we're now in year 4 of 4, we have only been able to do some preliminary analysis, and we're seeing that dumping has reduced significantly. And we're also seeing that there's no displacement of dumping to other sites. Some of our research wins so far is we have over 4,000 properties that have been assessed. So we're going to be analyzing this data over the next year. And we've been able to capture the cost of illegal dumping through our study, which is the first of its kind. And again, it was one of the first studies that CDC had ventured into in terms of this kind of intervention. This study comes from a little bit older, in 2010, I believe, but it lays out the cost of violent crimes And on average, to intervene on an illegal dumping site costs only $2,800. So you can see how from $2,800 we can prevent some of these larger costs to society that can occur as a result of the physical disruptions and such. And so what's next? So as I mentioned, we're in our final year of study. We have intervened in about 84 sites, aiming to intervene about 126 in total. And today I'm only presenting on the illegal dumping study, but this study also then initiated our Prevention Research Center, which is one of 20 centers across the US that is now going to be looking at using vacant lands for physical activities, so remediating it. However, I bring this up because as a theme of this last 2 days is we don't know if we have any more funding or not, and we're still waiting. And so it's really sad. And I think I heard a quote a couple months ago was some of these projects is not that the government is saving $1 million, they're losing about $4 million for just the effects of everything that we've done over the years. And if you'd like to learn more, this is our website. But I bring this up because why this work matters, and this is something that I'm finding that we're constantly having to defend, is that we know that this is protecting health, restoring dignity, and rebuilding trust. We know that illegal dumping is just more than a nuisance. It is a public health threat, and I haven't even touched the environmental aspects of illegal dumping. We know that Flint residents face environmental risks that are often invisible but very deeply harmful. And we know that this work shows what's possible when communities are resourced. This is completely community run. We're just there to run the numbers and ensure that the data is out there. And so this is what federal funding makes this work possible, and therefore we need the sustained investment to support health, safety, and environmental justice. And so I want to thank my team, and yeah, thank you for having me.